Greetings, everybody. I want to get you guys ready for your lecture on, or not lecture, but your exam on June 18th that expires. It's open now, so if you can take it earlier, I highly recommend you take it earlier. Don't wait until the last minute. So going forward on June 18th, this exam, what you want to keep in mind is, yes, there will be multiple choice questions on there from the quizzes, so make sure you're doing your best with those quizzes. And then going back to check your work, because the same questions, well, at least the questions from the same test bank will be randomly selected. But the bulk of the exam, meaning what most of it will be, your grade will be depend on are the lecture essays, right? So you are going to have, by the time you take the exam, you will have two lecture essays that you have prepared for, one on slavery and one on salutary neglect. So to prepare for that, let's go to the first lecture, which is located in June 13th. You should be preparing for it ahead of time. You don't need to wait till June 13th, but it's there for you. Now, you're not submitting these essays to me. Again, they're going to be randomly selected during the exam, but you do want to prepare for them ahead of time. If this one in particular is randomly selected, the one on slavery, this is the essay prompt that you will receive during the exam. Right? Discuss the interrelationship between a successful cash crop, cheap labor, and cheap land. Describe how and why slavery slowly developed in the British colonies and in early United States history. Okay, so to prepare for that, you're going to click up here, and that will take you to the first learning objective. The first learning objective prompt asks you to discuss the background of when, how, and why Jamestown was founded, etc. To prepare for that, to write emphasized at least a one-paragraph essay. So if you write more, that's fine. But if you get to the end of your response for this learning objective prompt and you only have 2 sentences, that guideline in parentheses there is just a heads up that you might want to provide for a little more. But also recognize that you can write more when it says at least. So you got the lecture notes right here. You've got the video right here. That will be the information you'll want to refer to respond to this learning objective prompt. When you're done responding to that learning objective prompt, then you're going to go to learning objective 2. Right. Here's the prompt right here, and here are the videos for the required videos for that lecture along with the lecture notes. Here's the guideline. Your response should be at least 3 paragraphs, right? So this will be an essay that will give you at least 5 to 8 paragraphs using the required material for this particular learning objective prompt. The combined response to learning objective 1 and learning objective 2 is the essay response to this essay prompt, right? This essay prompt here that might be randomly selected by exam 1 when you go to take it. Right. The learning objectives are just segments of the lecture, giving it to you in chunks rather than giving you the whole thing at once. I do that because when I gave the lecture all at once, a lot of students typically would only offer a paragraph, maybe 2 paragraphs, and leave a lot of information out. This gives the student the opportunity to make sure when it's in chunks that they can digest it a little bit easier and include the necessary information to respond to the essay prompt sufficiently. Let me bring this on up. Where is it? Right here. Yeah. So again, here's the guidelines. The learning objectives are the segments of the lecture. The lecture essay prompt you are required to write is prepared by responding to each learning objective. Right, so sometimes a lecture has 2 learning objectives, sometimes it has 3, sometimes it has 4, sometimes it has up to 5 learning objectives. I think 6 is the most dense lecture that we have. But anyway, anywhere from 2 to typically 5 learning objectives. During the exam, essay prompts will be randomly selected for you to respond to. Here are the guidelines for exam 1. So, 1, keep in mind you cannot go back to previous questions once you click next for any given question during the exam. There will be 25 multiple choice questions, chapters 1 through 4. 1 essay will be randomly selected from lectures 1 and 2. For our purposes, that is the lecture on slavery and the lecture on salutary neglect. You will have 3 hours to complete it. It must be taken in one setting. So that means you can't walk away from it. You have to take it all in one setting. Blackboard must be opened up in Lockdown browser, and you must have a webcam in order to take this exam. So they're not that expensive these days, so if you don't have one, go get one. It was listed in the syllabus for required sources. If you go to Amazon.com, you'll find that they typically begin anywhere from $8 to $15. You can get a real expensive one if you want, but it's not necessary. You could use this rubric as a guideline right here. Here's the software for Lockdown browser. If you have any problems, let me put this number in here. So if you have technical problems, call 872-2598. If you miss an exam or earn a low percentage, the next exam score will be applied to your previous score minus 5%. So let's say you do struggle with exam 1 and end up earning a 30%. That's terrible. Don't worry. As long as you're a determined student, you go back, you further develop your lecture essays, you go back, you check your answers for the multiple choice questions. When the next exam requires you to respond to questions from chapters 1 through 6, so previous chapters assigned along with chapters that have been recently assigned, then you will be okay there. And then you notice lectures 1 through 4 will be assigned. So you will have lectures randomly selected from lectures 1 and 2, and you will have lectures randomly selected from 3 and 4. So check the course schedule in Blackboard to see what those lectures are for 3 and 4. For that one, you'll have a 4-hour time limit. Must be taken same thing from there forward. Okay, just want to make sure you have some guidelines and understand what you're going forward. Make sure you download the Lockdown browser as quickly as possible. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk with you later. Bye.